Welcome to learn object-oriented programming. Today I am going to explain object-oriented programming concepts of this unit 1. So each and every program can have code and data, and it belongs to any one of the paradigm as procedure-oriented or object-oriented. The procedure-oriented approach is a top-down approach. Here the code is acting on the data, and in object-oriented approach the code is acting around the data. So it is a popular paradigm which has several concepts such as objects, class, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction and encapsulation. So with the help of these object-oriented concepts, a person can create object-oriented programming systems. So Java, C#, C++ are all the example of object-oriented programming languages. So let's start with object. So object is a real world entity that is handled by the particular program. So each and every object has state and behavior. So the state of the object is used to tell about the attributes or property of that object, and the behavior is used to represent the functionality of the object. So with the help of this object-oriented methodology, a program can be designed with objects and classes. So classes are the collection of objects. So we can create a software by interacting these objects, so that it will simplify the overall software development and it will improve the maintenance of the particular software. So a class is a collection of objects. So we can tell objects are the instance of the class. For example, if I am taking an apple, mango or a banana, these are all considered as objects. So the collection of this object can be considered as a class fruit. So in programming side, we can take this class as the user defined data type. So it is used to define the structure and behavior of a particular object. So when we are creating a class, it is used to define the variables. So usually the variable which hold the object state, and we can define the methods. Methods are nothing but functions which is used to describe the object's behavior, that is the functionality of that object. So each object can be considered as an instance of the class. So we can consider the class as the blueprint, so from which we can create any number of individual objects. So this is a general form of a class. So we can create a class with the help of the keyword class and the class name. So for this we can use any valid identifier, and it can be created with the curly open and close brace. Within that we can define our variables and methods. So we can create any number of variables. As usual, we have to give the type, that is integer, float or double, like that. Then we can give the variable name. Then it should be ended with a semicolon. Likewise, we can create any number of functions. In Java, we can tell it as methods. So we have to give the return type, then the method name, then the parameter list. So here we have to consider access modifiers. Actually, class support public, private and protected access modifiers. So the protected modifier belongs to the concept inheritance. So in that topic we can see it elaborately, and here I am showing the access modifier functionality. That is, here this black triangle denotes the private methods, and these are the private variables. So once you are creating some variables inside the class, those things are considered as the private values of the particular class. So other members, that is the functions which is present outside the class, cannot access this private members. Only the methods of this class can access this members. So we can create a member of a class by private or public. So the private members are not accessible by the outside world, and with the help of the public members we can communicate with outside world. So by this the class provides some protection to the data. And here I am showing the example of a class definition. So first I am giving the access modifier as public, then class is a keyword, then here the class name is the vehicle, and it has some member variables. So all the member variables are declared as private members. Then I am using one function run, so it is made it as public. So with the help of this function we can communicate with the outside world. So other class function can access this function, but these variables, these are the instance variable of the class vehicle, so these are made as private, so other functions or other classes cannot access this variables. Then once you have defined the class, you can create any number of objects. So this is the way we can create object. So this is a class name vehicle, then I have to give the variable name. So here I am using B as the variable name, that is the object name, then is equal to new vehicle of. So here the new is the memory allocation operator. So once you are creating the object, you have to give the class name, then the object name, then is equal to new, again the class name. So once you are creating the object, we can access the values with the help of this object. So if you want to call the method run, you have to use the object v. Then here I am showing the concept of data abstraction and encapsulation. So encapsulation is the process of wrapping the code and data together into a single unit. So that is called as class. So here I am showing the encapsulation concept. It provides the information hiding. That is, we can consider the capsule and the normal tablet. If you are taking a tablet, you can touch the medicine. But if you are taking the capsule, all the medicines are present inside the cover. So here the outside cover protects the medicine from the other person. So likewise, in object-oriented programming concepts, we can use this code and data inside the particular class. So other person or other classes or object can't access this data, so that we can hide the data from the outside world. Then here the concept abstraction denote hiding the background detail, and it will show only the functionality. So if you are considering TV, so it has several built-in circuit, and each and every components have some functionality for working the particular TV. So but if you are having a remote, you are just pressing the remote, that is, you can change the channel or you can increase the volume. You don't bother about the actual implementation process. So here the implementation process that is hidden from the user. Likewise, when we are driving a car, we just know about how to drive it, that is how to use accelerator, brake or steering something. So no need to worry about the internal structure. So it will hide the background detail from the user, and it will show only the functionality to the user. So this is the concept of the class which is using. So that class is considered as abstract data type. So once you are using some data inside the class, that can be protected from the outside world, so that it will improve the information hiding. It will give some data protection from the outside world. And while creating the class, we can hide the internal detail, that is implementation details inside the class, and we can just show the functionality, that is we can give the function call to the outside world. So we can hide the actual implementation detail inside the class. So this is a concept of data abstraction. And next one is inheritance. So it is used to derive some property from an existing class. So if you are creating a class, a vehicle, it has some property. So it has some variables, and we can create some methods inside the class vehicle. Then after that we can create another one class car. So car is actually a vehicle, then it has some special property. Likewise, bus is also a vehicle, it has some special property. So Once you have write a code for this class vehicle, then no need to write the code again here. So you just inherit the property from this class vehicle, and you can define the own property of this car and bus. So this is the concept of inheritance. So it allows reusing the classes by deriving a new class from an existing one. So here the existing classes consider as the parent class or superclass or base class, and this newly created class, that is the derived class, is considered as a child class or subclass. So all the child classes are inherit the properties of the parent class, and it has their own properties. Next concept is polymorphism. Polymorphism means the ability to take many forms. That is, an operation may exhibit different behavior in different instances. That is, the behavior depends on the type of data provided. For example, you are going to perform some operation. If you are giving two integer values, it provides the sum of the two numbers. But if you are providing two strings, it shows the concatenation of two strings. So depending upon the data, its behavior is different. So it is mainly useful for implementing this inheritance. So here we can take an example. Shape, the class having a method area and three classes deriving from this class shape, that is circle, triangle and rectangle. All these three classes redefine the area method. So the same method name can be used inside this derived class, but here each and every class having their own internal structure, because the area calculation formula is different for circle, triangle and rectangle. So once we can redefine it, we can use the specific property of this class, but here all these internal structures are different, but it can share same external interface. So this is the way we can use polymorphism inside the inheritance concept. The next one is dynamic binding. Binding means just linking our method call to the code to be executed. That is, once you are defining a function, everything, that is a set of statements are present inside the function definition, and when we can make a particular call, the function will be executed. So that is the process of binding, just linking the function call to the corresponding code. Dynamic binding means the code is associated with that method is not known until the time of execution. So during the execution time only the system can know about the corresponding code. So it is associated with both polymorphism and inheritance concept. So static binding means at the time of compilation itself, the code is linked with the procedure call, but in dynamic binding only at the time of execution the corresponding code will be linked to the procedure call. So depending upon the object we are using, that is we can call the method using that object. So if you are call area method of a particular class circle, means the circle area is calculated. But if you are providing instance for the triangle class, the triangle's area will be executed. So depending upon the object instance, that is the reference address of that object, the corresponding code will be executed. Then the last one is message communication. So we know that in object-oriented programming, everything is considered as an object. So we need some communication between these objects. So while developing the program, the basic steps are: first we have to create a class. Then we can define the variables and methods inside the class. Then we have to create object from the class definition. Then after that we have to provide communication between these objects. So this communication is done with the help of messages. So messages is nothing but the function call or method call. So here I am showing one example of the class employee. It has a method salary. So while call this method, we have to use the object name. So here this employee is an object name. Then we have to provide dot operator. Then we have to call the method salary. So if you want to give any argument to the method, we can give it here. So this is the message, and this is the information we are passing to the method salary. So likewise we can call any method of a class. So whenever we can make this procedure call, so the messages are communicated between the classes. So in this way we can communicate more number of objects. So let's sum up the object oriented programming concepts. The basic thing is object. It is a real world entity. From this we can construct the class. So class is the collection of objects, and we can create any number of objects from this class, and it provide the encapsulation property, that is the data and functions are wrapped inside the class. So it will improve the data hiding or information hiding process, and abstraction shows that the internal structure or internal background details are hidden from the outside world. So it only shows the functionality. Then the inheritance concepts provide the ability to derive a new class from existing one, so that no need to write the code again and again. We can reuse the code. Once you have created a base class, means you can redefine it, and you can reuse the code, and you can improve the code reusability and reduce the size of the program. And to implement this inheritance, we can go for this polymorphism. So the same external structure can be shared by internal structures of different derived classes. So for that, the dynamic programming will be helpful. So at the time of dynamic binding, so the corresponding procedure call will be linked with the actual code. Then for all these things, the message passing method is used. So with the help of that, the objects can communicate with each other. I hope you got some idea about object oriented programming basic concepts. So let's wind up this session. We can see the Java basics in the next class. Thank you.